It is.
Okay, so as a part 2 in the payroll, this is our learning path. We are in the payroll module, and today we will understand the payroll business definition. Concept-wise, you know it very well, but sometimes the name will get changed, and you should not be get confused. So I had bring it over here. So like if any of the exam, if you are giving it. And in exam, if they ask, can you please define what are the payroll business definitions are from below, so you can able to understand that what we mean by the payroll business definition. We will be discussing more on the payroll definition, and then we will see in the system how we can create our first payroll, what are the things are required, what are the different way of creating it. So today we will focus on these 2 points. And then we will jump to the frequencies. Maybe if today, if we get time, we can do it. Otherwise, we will do the payroll elements, formulas, and so on. So most of the time, we are going to spend on payroll elements and in the payroll processing and the fast formula. So let us go to the payroll definition. Before that, just have a little bit of brief understanding what we mean by the payroll business definition. I will keep this slide throughout your learning path, so that you know that what are the stages of my payroll, what all things we required for processing the payroll, so that it will give you an idea that if I'm running a payroll for an organization. Now, 2 things we have to understand as a consultant. Like if you want to become a consultant, you yourself should behave, or yourself should become a payroll administrator, like you are running the payroll. Then only you can understand the payroll very well. Most of you are having an experience in and running the payroll and having some basic concept, but those who are never in the payroll and want to know how the payroll things work, then always keep a mind that you are a payroll administrator as well as you are the implementer. Then it will be easy for you to implement the things. Now we have learned about the descriptive flex fields, correct? We know what are the descriptive flex fields. Can anyone give me the definition? What are the descriptive flex fields? Whatever you had learned in past module, I will going to ask from all of you, so that I know that you are learning it and you are practicing it. Who is going to tell me what are the descriptive flex fields? I don't want a definition. I just want to know whether you have a concept clearance or not. Yeah, Tammy?
I can say a descriptive flex field is a field you customize to enter an additional information for which just to enter an additional information on any Oracle application product, really.
Yeah, Olu, can you confirm if he is correct or not?
Yes, it is. It's a field that you can customize if you want to add additional field to Oracle Fusion application.
Okay, that's nice. And now I will ask, and I'll pick a name, and you should be ready with the answer. I request, please focus, because yesterday there was very low response and previous classes also. But this is very interesting topic. Payroll is very interesting. If you learn it, you are the king in this HCM, because there are very few consultants who know the payroll part. So pay attention, learn it. It is going to help you a lot. Now, this one part is the descriptive flex field. I had not put the context, like we know it. Descriptive flex fields are normally identified on the page if it is written a context. Second is the extensible flex fields, and here the one extensible flex field is available when we are defining the element. If we want to capture an additional information for our elements, so that we call as a element information EFF. Don't worry about the name part. When we go for the element definition, then you will understand and what does it mean. Value set, yes, we know what all things we can do with the value set. Chandan, can you give me example of value set? Am I audible, Chandan, to you? Okay, Chandan, you went somewhere, keeping your laptop mute. Garika, value sets.
Hello, sir. I'm
Yeah.
just listening actually with my baby. I'm listening the module. So I'm just started. Can you repeat what you
Yeah.
are teaching?
So I am asking it that in the previous class of SCM we learn about the value set. So okay, I will give you today benefit of doubt, Garika, maybe, but in the next class try to pay attention. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, sir.
No problem. No problem. It's okay. I can
Yeah,
understand.
I'm just listening. I'm just noting everything, note down everything. No.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
no problem. So value set, we know it that it's normally required for the validation purpose, and we had when we create our DFF, we have enabled the value set, and there is one more thing that we want to learn it, which we call a lookups. So lookups, if you see, there are the predefined values which comes from the drop down. If you had seen it, like when we were defining the grade, then we were changing it. It was asking for some values. So the drop down, which is already seeded by the Oracle, which Oracle provided, those are the lookups. Now there are certain lookups which we can use it or we can add it by our own. It's like extensible where we can add our own lookups, but most of them are defined or delivered by the Oracle itself. So if we can see, if we can take an example like of a marital status, here we are seeing it that there is a code written which is internal tables refer it as a local lookup code. Say M, it represent married. Tag, it is not applicable. It means that married and single, if I am not tagging it, it means it is applicable across the globe. Okay. And if I am putting this tag, so for example, if you can see plus NL, that it is applicable only in the New Zealand for this particular country, because the registered partner is not.
Sumesh, you went on mute.
I can't hear anything also.
I think Sumesh got disconnected. He will reconnect, I believe.
I'm sorry, I got somehow kicked out of the meeting. Can anybody confirm what I was explaining it, because I don't remember when it got disconnected.
So we were talking about the countries tagging.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so this is like a country tagging. If it is required for a specific country, we can tag it. Otherwise, we can keep it as a not applicable part. So let's log into the application. Again, setup and maintenance. Under the payroll, you will find it. It is not there, then we will go from the search criteria and what we want to search it. payroll business definition. So manage payroll business define payroll business definition. So these are the tasks that comes under the payroll business definition. That means payroll lookups we can define and create, and we will see where we can use our payroll lookups definition. Element entries, normally it is going to be used, so we can define the reason when we are creating element. We will see it because we don't know when we are reaching out for creating a definition if this production of this environment get cloned. So this is the placeholder where we can define the lookup type. We will learn it when we are defining the element. Then we can go for the payroll value set, that if anything we are defining it and we want to validate. So this is where we can define the value set. We had seen it. We can define module wise. We know in the HR class we learn about it. Descriptive flex fields, again, we know these are all like if I'm going and defining creating a balance, if I need to store additional information. So fields are available at the balance level. When I'm defining element links, so when you learn about the different terminology in the payroll, then we will revisit these DFF, and when we open those page, you can easily identify that on this particular page there are the additional fields which we can use it. Similarly, we can use extensible flex field for the payroll as well. This is, as I mentioned, it is available at only for the element information tab. We will see it when we are coming for the element definition. And then there is a profile option. So when we learn about the security part, I will give a brief introduction about the pay hierarchy. This normally we don't use it much, but yes, from the profile option point of view, how we can able to define the profile, what all values are there. Sometimes it becomes very useful when you are in the support. It require a monthly maintenance from the system point of view. So we will learn about it. So this is all about the defined payroll business definition. It's like a predefined set of tasks that is required whenever we want to use it. Now, when with the time, wherever we come across that, if we require to create a payroll value set, or if we define to enable any descriptive flex field, we will take one or two examples. So from the concept point of view, all are clear that in your implementation or in your support, when and where we have to use this payroll definition, payroll business definition. Now let's move to the interesting topic of the payroll definitions. So normally what happens when we are running or when we are paying to the staff, there should be a payroll defined in the module itself. Okay, without that we could not able to process the payroll. So if you know, like you are using in EBS currently, correct? Most of you are having a EBS experience, so you know that we define normally a payroll for our processing purpose. Similarly, in Fusion application also, we have to define a payroll. Who all having an understanding on the payroll from the EBS? Can you raise your hand? Who all have an understanding? On Oracle e-business, I am not asking on the Fusion part, on the Oracle e-biz. No one. You me?
Yes, I work on EBS payroll.
Yes, and about any other one who having understanding on the payroll definition?
I never worked on Oracle payroll. I'm just normal HR payroll I know, but no, not in Oracle. I have little idea on SAP, but not in Oracle.
No idea from my side, Sumesh. So looks like we lost him once again.
what's the problem with Zoom or whether it's a problem with the internet. Okay, let me repeat it again. So why we go and define the payroll? I want to group my set of employees. Okay, so in an organization, there can be different type of employees are there. There can be a permanent employees are there. There can be a set of employees, those who are in temporary in nature. There are the set of employees, those who are my like a vendor have given as an outsourced employees. There are the part-timers, those who work in an organization, and there are certain consultants, those who are receiving salary on the weekly basis or on the semi-monthly basis. So if I want to group these set of employees so that instead of running one by one a payment for this person, if I get a mechanism where I can process it in a bulk, that's why I use a payroll to define it or to group my employees. Clear?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is the reason it comes that we go and define the payroll. Now you can define a multiple payroll in the same legislation or for the same legal employer. So for example, we had taken in the past, if I am working in a pharma company and I have a different set of employees and which I have a different requirement for doing the payment. There are multiple things, understand things. So there is a one group of employees. I told you that permanent or a temporary. Now there are other concept also are there. Like if I want to do the payout as a part of my bonus, okay, which I am not going to pay with my regular payroll, but I want to pay as a separate extendable payroll. So I can create one more payroll period or maybe one more payroll or just processing my bonus element. Or I can use the same payroll, but it is become more complicated, your reports and everything. So it is based on the requirement where we can do it. But the basic concept of my payroll definition is that I have to group my set of employees so I can do the processing of my data, earnings, elements, deductions in one go. So this is my one of the definition of understanding from the payroll point of view. Other thing is that there are the requirement from the financial point of view. What? Like if I am processing a payroll for one company and it say that I want a costing details to be flow to my different ledgers. Okay, we know the concept that if one company I am operating in India, if one company I am operating from UK, then I want to, and these both country I have defined in such a manner that they have a single legal employer and single legislative data group. So in that scenario also, I can define two different payrolls. If there is a concept of a multi-salary part is there, then I will define a two payroll. But when it comes to multiple salary part, we will go with the two different legislation group or the two LDG. So there anyway, we can define the payroll itself. Is this clear to all of you that why and where we required to define a payroll? It will become very important because when you go for the implementation, there are the things which the company doesn't know and you have to educate them. Payroll is such a module which is irreversible in nature. When I say irreversible in nature, it means if I am processing a payroll for 1 month and you say I want to do the changes at certain level or I want to do certain changes, you can't do it because this is one of the most sensitive part in all HR functions. If anybody is talking about the payroll in any placeholder, it becomes a sensitive information. Whether are you using any Oracle system or anything in Excel sheet also, when anybody heard about the payroll term, it becomes sensitive in nature. So that's why to keep in mind about the sensitivity part, to keep in mind about the audit part, this has become an irreversible module. Like in HR, we can reverse certain things, but in payroll, once I processed and once I pay to the employee, there are very few chances that we can reverse our setups and reverse our payroll part. So we have to be very much careful when we are defining the payroll, how many payrolls we have to use it, what are the conditions we have to validate, what are the things we have to keep in mind that how many payrolls is required for one particular organization. And there is no defined rule that you need 1 payroll, 2 payroll, 3 payroll, 4 payroll. It is up to you. Some people are defining 2 payroll based on the location itself. Some people are taking a call that I have an employee base in one country about 7,000 employees and there are 2 or 3 employees in one of the countries. So are we going to define a separate payroll for them, or we will try to club in the same payroll itself? So it depends what are the different business scenarios we have to consider, and then each and everyone has the pros and cons, and we have to define it from the employee point of view, from the technology point of view, from the maintenance point of view, because payroll is the module which requires a lot of maintenance. Everyone in the HR working towards for processing the monthly salary or processing the salary itself. So we have to be very much careful when we are defining the payroll, at what all things we have to keep in mind. So when we define the payroll, there are the concept that we should understand, that it having a effective start date. Like it means that from where I want to start my payroll. Now, one thing we have to keep in mind, that the effective start date and the payroll period are two different things. Okay. So for example, I say that I want to start my payroll on 1st of Jan 2013 with 5 years of historical data to be loaded. Then what will be my payroll definition will be going to start 2013 minus 5. So I have to start my payroll effective from 1st of Jan 2008. Clear? Effective date concept is clear to you?
Yes.
Okay. Then there is a second concept called the first period end date. It means, like, when I'm giving a definition that maybe we are doing a current implementation and we say, okay, fine, we want to start using our payroll module effective from July onwards, July 2020. Then my payroll pay period start end date will be 31st of July 2022. We will see in the, when we're defining in the system, we will see it. But these are the dates which are crucial and important, and it's required to be give a full thought process that where and what effective date or the period end date we should start. Number of years. Now, for how many years you want to run the payroll? It's not like that I am running for 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. But what we will do, we normally give the number of years in this particular tabular format. What I have done, I says that my payroll will be run for 5 years. Why I am giving so that when I am defining the payroll will generate the periods. What does it mean? Like in the finance, we have a concept now that monthly cycle we are closing it. So for which financial period it will go. Similarly, if I am defining a monthly payroll, and if I says that I will be going to use this payroll for the next 5 years, system automatically will generate my periods, which means that my pay period, if I'm starting from July, my pay period will define from July, August, September, October, November, December, and so on for upcoming 5 years. We will see in the system that how this decision of putting the numbers is important. Now, once you say our definition, later you can increase it, but you can't able to reduce it. So this is also one of the key point when you're defining a payroll. You have to keep in your mind. Like if I had said that initially at the time of the implementation, we says that 5 years, and later say, no, let's keep it 3 years, then we will decide it. I mentioned it. Payroll is one of the sensitive, and this is irreversible. Can anybody tell me that why I can't reduce the number? Who can tell me? Anthony?
Because
Yeah, I didn't tell me. Yeah.
I think because you said it's a very complex thing. So if you shorten the years, if you reduce the years, that means in a short period you have to go back again, and that's not what the company wants. So you're doing a very complex configuration. You want to give it a lot of time so that it can continue rather than have it as a shorter period.
I'm sorry, Eddie. Maybe there is some network issue from my end or your end, but your voice got break completely, so I can't hear it properly. Is it possible? Can you repeat it again?
Okay,
I think what is trying to say is that you cannot reduce it because you would have already defined the period that you want it to be for. So once you define it, it's difficult for you to reduce. Yeah.
That's correct. That's correct. Because once I define the 5 years, the system will automatically generate the periods for the 5 years. and if I'm reducing it, system will not allow because the period got already generated. Okay, so these are the few things that we have to keep in mind. We have to be very thorough and always take a sign off from the business user, okay, for how many years you want to decide or how when you define, so that you are any decisions in the system that you are taking it, always keep in writing and take the sign off from your end user. Keep this notebook a rule. Otherwise, your life will become more and more difficult when you're implementing any system anywhere. Other thing is that you cannot create a period more than 10 years. You can have a limit of the 10 years, but what you can do once you do for the 10 years, later on you can add some payroll definition for the 12 years, like you can increase it, but at a one time when you're defining it, you can go maximum up to 10 years. It's clear?
Sumesh, just want to check with you. A lot of times what we have seen is there will be some change in the taxation of a particular country. So how do we do it then?
Taxation, like give me some example. I did not correlate with the payroll definition and the taxation part.
See, because this payroll again depends on the salary, right? So,
Yeah.
so every country in India, what happens is like the taxation limits what we had 3 years down, 3 years before is not now. It actually got changed. So if we have already defined it, then how do we change it? Then again, the numbers will get changed, right?
No, that's so that is different, Chandan. So what we are defining, what we are discussing over here, that when I am defining my payroll, I am seeing a setup part. I am not talking about the processing part. Processing part will come later stage. This is like if the definition which I am saying is that I want to club my employees. We will see in the system that hopefully your doubt will be get clear. If not, then we will pick it up again. But the things that you are asking is does not correlate while we're defining the payroll part. Taxation and how we process, how the periods can be closed, that will come when we are processing the payroll for the individual or for the set of employees. That is the processing part. Here just we're defining the payroll, that how we want to define our payroll part. Okay.
Okay.
So now other part on the payroll definition is these are the few things that we have to keep in mind. Offsets. So like, for example, assuming that we are in the monthly payroll, okay, there should be a cutoff date where we are receiving the data from the organization, different departments, and then it become cut off that whatever we receive till the particular date, after that, we are not going to accept any changes in the payroll. So it means I am cutting off my payroll, correct? It's mean a deadline given to the different department people. Correct. So there
is that called, what is it called? Is that called cutoff date or offset date? What do you say? Or cutoff date?
It is called as a cutoff date. Offsets are the below parameter that we are defining it for a particular payroll. But normally there should be a cutoff date where we start receiving the inputs from the different department. Okay.
Yeah. So is this as part of is this as part of the implementation or for the payroll run? That's the cutoff date. Is it relevant to the implementation? Or...
Yes.
Okay.
It is required, and we will see that when we are defining the payroll, there are periods that is defined static and there are dynamic as well. So when we are going on the dynamic, it means, and when we are going the static is very difficult. Nobody can define, but normally we go as a dynamic. So this example, what I'm telling about of the dynamic, not for the dynamic, but it is common for both dynamic as well as for the static defined. So there is a time period where it says that by say 25th or by 22nd, I should receive all the inputs. When I say all the inputs, I should receive all the meal allowance inputs. I should receive all the overtime from the respective department. I should receive any flexible reimbursement claim is required to be get processed in this particular month. If you are giving me by say cutoff date, which I say define 22nd of every month, I will process in the current month. Otherwise, I will take it in the next month. Correct? This is normally a payroll administrator do in the real life.
Would that include the absences as well?
I will come to that. Hold for a second. Hold for a second. Now, compare your EBIS environment and the Fusion HCM environment.
Sorry. So this cutoff, is it part of the activities.
Yes, yes, yes. So if
Pre-payroll
you see,
pre-payroll activity.
correct, correct. So if you see this particular steps or stages over here, sorry. See, this is what I am defining. I am gathering the inputs.
Okay.
If you see this particular portion over here, what I am doing it over here, I am gathering the inputs.
Okay.
Okay. What I have to do, I have to put some cutoff date, that if you are giving me the information by 22nd or 24th or 23rd of that particular month, then only I will process in this particular payroll run. Otherwise, I will not do it. So this is the timeline which I am defining over here. This is called my payroll cutoff date for that particular month. Clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
So,
can you please explain that again, please? Because I'm interested in this one, please.
Yeah.
I've done this before. I didn't get it for 2 years ago. I just wanted to explain this again, this particular place here, because I do this at work, but I don't want to understand the activities behind our payroll, which here, please.
Sure, not a problem. So this I had explained in detail yesterday, but I will repeat it again. That's why I kept this slide throughout the payroll discussion and session. So it will remain in your mind forever, that whenever we do payroll processing. Now, this particular example which I'm showing you over here, it has to do nothing with the Oracle Fusion HCM. Okay, this is not defined by the Oracle. This is the stages which I learned it from my experience, that there are certain stages which is required for processing the payroll. Assuming if you are doing the payroll manually, or if you are doing the payroll in Excel sheet, what normally you do, you define the payroll policies. Now, what are the payroll policies? This is nothing. This is something which HR defined. What does it mean? Like what should be my basic salary? What should be my overtime allowance? Whether I'm eligible for the housing allowance, whether I'm eligible for the transport allowance. So all these things come as a part of my
Payroll policy.
So now this we will take as a part when we are defining and when we are working on the element definition. We will take it, because we are not doing our payroll calculation manually, we are doing the automation. So when we are discussing the topic of the creating the element entries or the element, then I will show you how we can implement our HR policy or payroll policy using the element setup, correct? Second, so once we have a clear-cut policy, what is the next step or what is the next gate check is gathering the inputs. So what we mean by the gathering the input part is there, I will be having a different set of employees, and what they are doing it, maybe some are eligible for the overtime. So I need in a particular month how many hours you work extra, so that I can pay you to the overtime amount, correct? So I will be requiring this information from where? Either from the line manager or from the department head of that particular department. If I'm an IT department, I work for 3 hours extra daily. So in 22 days, how many hours I work? Maybe 60 or 65 hours I had worked extra. So for which I need a comp off. So I need a comp off in a particular month. So this is what my activities call a gathering of my inputs. It can be my OT, it can be my meal allowance, it can be my staircase allowance, it can be anything. So this gathering of input is required. It should be a time bound. It should not happen that till my last year of payroll processing, I am getting this data. Why? Because I have to do the validation as well. If I'm not getting a time for the validation, then I will not be able to process my payroll. So that's why I normally put it a cutoff date for a particular month, that if I'm getting the information, say 22nd of every month, then only I will process these inputs in my this month. Otherwise, I will carry forward to the next month. Clear?
Yes.
Yeah. So when I'm putting the cutoff date, so that was we are discussing that when we are defining the payroll, what cutoff date or what are the dynamic values we require to set up in the system. So system every month automatically put that date as my cutoff date. Say for example, I am in the month of January and my cutoff date is 22nd. Now I am in the month of February where it is 28 days. It should not be 22. It should be something 20 or 18 or 19. Correct? Because I am working on the number of days. So when I process a payroll for a particular month, my cutoff date should automatically defined by the system. That this is my cutoff date in a system. So coming up back to this whole process, then I will do the input validation. So now my check, when everything check is done, what I will do, I will go and process the payroll. What I am doing it, I am processing the payroll. That means whatever the earnings and whatever the deductions are having it, I will calculate it and I will find out the net result, that net pay, how much I am paying to my employees. Correct? So this is what it happens, that when I do the payroll calculation, I have to arrive what is my net salary. So this is my stage number 2, and this isn't repetitive in nature. When I say the repetitive in nature, I will do the first run. It may have some error. I will roll back it. Again, I will go for the second run. It may have some error. I will go back and correct it. And then when I'm satisfied, then I will make a third run as my final run, and I will proceed to the next step. It's clear?
It's clear. Okay.
Yeah.
It's clear.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, I have a
Tell me,
quick question. You know the input validation. Is it an automatic process? So for example, if you're working and your job is to validate the input, is it an automation process that does that, or is a manual process?
Two things are there. So there are certain things that we can achieve it from the input validation or element entry validation. We can put a validation rule over there. If there are system limitation, if I can't do it, then in the formula, I will handle it. Say, for example, I say that in an organization or for a particular department, I'm giving a hypothetical example, in a department that all employees overtime should not exceed 1,000 hours. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Consider this scenario that for a particular department, HR decide a policy, say for the IT department, that for all your employees, your complete overtime hours should not exceed 1,000 hours in a month. Now this cannot be set as an individual level. So what I will do, I will write a formula in a way that I will enter the overtime for all the employees, and then I will calculate that what is the sum of all these overtime for that particular month. If it is exceeding 1,000, what I will do, I will reduce the number, or I will maybe whatever the number are offsetting it, I will reduce those number to the set policies of 1,000. So this I can achieve it through the first formula. Take another example. Now there is a say for example, say for example, in a month I take a loan, or I take an advance from the company, and I need to pay in a 3 installment, or I have to pay it every month as a part of the $3,000 every month. It should be get deducted in my salary. Now this is one of the example we can automate through the different purpose. But what we can do, I can define an input validation. Like if I'm entering a value 4,000, system throws an error to me that okay, the maximum limit for the particular deduction is 3,000, not 4,000. So this is my input validation part is there, where we can do at the element level. Clear?
Clear. Okay.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. Out of all this process, where do we use? So I know that you taught us, and when I did this last year, file loader for payroll. So where do you do the file loading, that you load the information automatically? Where
this is stage.
One. So this is where you don't use Excel, you use the file loader. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So why I'm using it, because when you get the overtime, you are not getting for one employees, you are getting in a bulk. You are getting in a bulk, like you are getting in overtime values for maybe 500 or 600 employees. So that you can't do it in a single way. So that's why you use a file based loader for input into my element entries. Now, which has replaced, instead of file loader, you use the HDL format for uploading the data. Okay. And I will show you how you can use this HDL how you can convert into the element format and input the data into your payroll module.
Okay.
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 So
Yes.
earlier there was having a file-based loader, or the PBL was available, but now there is no PBL. Oracle has decommissioned it. Now the new concept has come, which we known as a HDL.
Thank you.
Clear?
Clear. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So now when it comes for my payroll processing, and I say that I have done my 3 payroll run, and then I will reach to this statutory compliance if anything is there, then the financial module what I'm looking for, and these are my post processing payroll processing, which is required after processing the payroll. Correct?
Yes. So this is after we've done the payroll and we want to now check. So you call it post payroll process. Everything has sent. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
So this is my post payroll, this is my payroll, and this is my pre-payroll activity. There are the 3 stages that normally we do it. And this is my stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. Stage 3 called as my post payroll processing. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we will go back again to our cutoff date. So this cutoff date is normally like we decide that from my pay period date, like the day which I am going to pay the salary to my employees, before the how many days we want to define the cutoff or cutoff date. Then pay slip availability date. So as soon as I process the payroll, will you give the pay slip to their employees, or you will wait?
You will have agreed a policy on the date though.
Yeah. So for example, if I say that on 27th every month I am running the payroll. So as soon as you run the payroll, on the same date you will give the pay slip access to your employees, or you will wait for a few days?
No,
You
we
wait.
few days, 2-3 days.
Correct.
You wait.
Because payroll admin, yeah. Why we have to wait it? Because if I am running a payroll, suppose if it went in error out, if I am getting maybe my salary is 10,000 by mistake or from the payroll admin or anything, it goes to 15,000. And the same time, if I log into the application, I can download that payslip and I can say that my payslip is this much. I can go to the bank, I can take a loan, and whatever I want, I can do it. So normally, what happens is that we wait for processing the payroll, and maybe either a 1 day or 2 day we enable the payslip for the employees to view it, or we can send it through the email to them. Now, someone asked me that the cutoff date, whether the cutoff date includes the absence entries or not. Okay. Now, the best part of the cloud application is the cloud application is accessible to everyone. We can't stop. We cannot have a cutoff period like in EBIS. We say this is a cutoff date. Nobody can go into the system and stop the entry. In EBIS we have a control. We put a complete control that, okay, if I'm defining the cutoff date of 24th, after that HR will not have a rights to do the entry of anything. HR, it's a limited people we can communicate to them, but when it comes to the employees, they can apply the leave at any point of time. So in Fusion, in the cloud application, we can't stop. So whatever the leave entries are coming on that particular date, system will process them. And it is the right way. We should not hold these entries for our cutoff date. See, the objective or the KPI, one of the KPI for the payroll administrator or the reward manager is that how fast you are processing the payroll and closing it. You should not keep it open for a long. This is my one of the KPI. And if I'm holding everything for the next month, it will definitely have an impact of my KPI. So that's why the cloud application help us processing the real-time data, what employees are entering at that particular time or at that particular moment. So for example, if I'm running the payroll on 24th of a particular month as a trial run, and if I run the payroll on 26th of that particular month, your result may not tally. Why? Because it's an online system available to everyone. Today I apply unpaid leave for 24th. Tomorrow someone else will go and apply unpaid leave for 26 or 27. So my result will never tally. So that's why we have to make sure that the reporting part or the reconciliation that I am doing it should be based on my real-time data. Clear? Any questions on? Yeah. Then comes my payroll run date, the date which on the day I am running the payroll. So which we normally define it. We will see how we are going to be define those particular date. And then the date earn date. Date earn date is like on the particular date, within that pay period, I am processing the payroll. So for example, I define that period to be last day of the month. So that date will be called as my earn date. It is different from my payroll run date. I can run the payroll on 27, 25, 26. Maybe sometime there is a Christmas holidays are there. I can run payroll on 15th of that particular month, but my payroll earn date will be last day of that particular month. Clear?
Sumesh, I just confused between payroll run date and cutoff date.
Okay. So assuming that we are on the monthly payroll and we have to process the payroll every month on 27, correct?
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
But normally we give the date earn in the sense when in the system there is one date is the date earn, or we call it as a payroll period, because normally what happened, why these dates are required, because when we are doing the reconciliation from the previous month to the next month, we should know that for which particular month I am processing it. Okay. So for example, if anybody is like, if normally we did a date earned as a 27 or 28, and some companies are putting as a 30th or 31st or last day of that particular month. It depends that which date we have to put it. So date earn is that whenever my element is processing it, okay, I can run the payroll maybe on 21st itself, but the element which got processed, the date it will be having the date earned that I have entered in the system. Not clear?
No, my understanding. No. For example, can I?
Can you repeat this part?
I will repeat. Yeah, I will repeat. Yeah, Chandan, just tell me your understanding.
Yeah, my understanding here, the cutoff date is the final date the payroll department should receive from all the business heads on the employee information, and the payroll date is when the actual payroll happens for all the information we receive from the business, correct?
Yes. So cutoff date, see, normally I will tell you, cutoff date is the different data which we are receiving from different departments. Okay. Yeah. And this is the date, actually this is the date from my payroll work in real sense get started. Okay. We are very much aware about the payslip availability, that from which date the payslip we are going to available to the employees, correct? Correct. Now there is one date which we call as a payroll run date. It means on which particular date we are going to run our payroll.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why it is useful? Because this will retrieve my employee information. So for example, if anybody joins in an organization on 25th, it means that the person will be included in my payroll run. So that is my 27th. I am putting it. Now, if anybody is joining, because my what I had put it as a payroll run date as a 27. Okay, so anybody who is joining in the organization till 27, those payroll will get processed. Now, if anybody is joining on 28, what will happen? Their payroll will not process for that particular July month. It will move to the next month. Okay, so this the employee, those who have joined after 27, their payroll or their payroll data will be get processed in the month of August.
Okay, so if I hear you correctly,
yeah,
I'll give myself. So I joined my organization on the 10th of January 2020. Yeah. I've already missed the payroll run date because I didn't join. I joined on the 10th of Jan. So what they did, when they paid on the end of Jan, they didn't pay me. They said I've missed the payroll run date. So they now did a supplementary run for me to get paid. So is that what you, is that, and just in a simple, I just wanted to understand in a simple sentence, that's why I'm using myself. Does that mean, is that what you meant because I didn't start on the end of the previous month. I started 10th of January. They said I've missed the payroll run date.
Okay.
So when
Okay.
on the 25th of January they pay us. So they didn't pay me. They said I have to wait for the second payroll run date, which was I was not paid on the 8th of February. Is that what you meant by payroll run date?
That's correct. That's correct. And what is happening in your organization is that they are taking the cutoff date of the previous month of the last day. So it's mean that if you join in the previous month, then only they will process in the current month. Otherwise, they will not process in the current month. So they are taking a 1 month gap, or then they will use as a supplement payroll for processing it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. But in
sense.
in the Fusion SCM, there is a concept or there is a functionality. If anybody is joining in the month of in the later month, we can either pay them as a one-off salary in the same month, or we can include their salary in the next month itself. It depends on the company policy. So nothing is stopping us. Okay. Yeah, depend on the company policies. But in the system, it is allowed when you want to process your payroll. So hopefully, yeah.
Sorry, Somesh, I was going to say, so the cutoff date cannot be the same as the payroll run date. It can't be the same. Of course,
it cannot be. Otherwise, you are the super person. You are receiving all the data on the day one and you're processing on the same day. If you have 5-10 employees, yes, possible. But if you are working for an organization where there are more than 1,000 or 2,000 employees, it becomes very difficult. I'm not saying it's not possible. In the system, you can define it, but for that, you have to be very much precise that whatever the information you are getting it is all correct. See, because when you are gathering this information, correct, you are gathering this particular information, you need a validation also. And how you can do the validation in a day? So that's why normally this payroll cutoff date and the payroll processing date have 2 or 3 days, or depend on the company size, employee size, policies, different inputs, how relaxable they are, they want to process this. So these dates are totally different.
So by definition, if you miss the cutoff date, you miss the payroll run date.
No, not necessary, because we had seen certain exceptions also. We had seen certain exception also. Now, cutoff date, I am not confusing all of you at this point of time. But from the theoretical point of view, I want to make it clear that these are the few dates. These are the few dates we have to put in our mind. Okay, so I don't want to confuse it at this point of time. We will learn slowly. You will, when you see the system, your concept will be get clear what I'm talking about. Okay.
Yeah, Smash, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Just to add to what Anthony was trying to understand, the cutoff date you're talking about here is part of pre-payroll activity process. Before we run payroll, it's the cutoff date you're talking. It's part of the things we do as part of pre-payroll activity. So where we're gathering information and all that stuff before we validate the input, and then we now run the payroll process itself, isn't it?
That's correct.
Yeah,
absolutely correct.
Yeah, and just to flag this as well, that it's part of the payroll implementation activity, not the actual payroll. That makes sense. It's part of the implementation activity. So it's just
these are the.
So it's a one-off activity that will be done as part of implementing payroll.
Yes,
so it's not
this
just
is
running
this
payroll.
is. Yeah, this is a one-time activity that normally we do at the time of payroll definition, but it can be changed month by month basis, depend on the scenario. So for example, if my payroll date is coming on 27th and it is Sunday. Now, if nobody is working on Sunday, so what I will do, I will change my pay date. I can go and do those parameter change in the system itself.
Okay.
Okay. Then there is a date paid that on particular which date we are paying to the employee. So it's on normally a last date of that particular month, or whatever the date we decided with the company. Normally they are getting it 1 day or 2 days before. Some organization pay maybe after the 2 or 3 days of the closing of that month. Maybe 2nd or 3rd of the next month also you receive your salary. So it depends on the organization to organization. Then there is a planned submission date. It means that when the payroll or when a payroll manager going to submit a payroll for processing. So this is like this is a stage number 2. That this is my planned submission date. I am going to do it. So when my these activity when my payroll processing is going to start. So this is my that planned submission date. Okay. So one more thing. There are 2 things are there. One is called as a dynamic offset. It means once I define it, I can these value will get changed dynamically. Second is I can define it as a month by month on the fixed date basis. Like, okay, I have to run my payroll on 25th of every month, whatever is the scenario. I will not move my date. 25th is my last date. I am very sincere and I will run the payroll on these particular date. This is my cutoff date. I am not going to change even for CHRO. This is my cutoff date. Correct. So this is my fixed date that we are defining in the offset. Now there are the adjustment is required. Like I mentioned it, if Christmas holidays are there, then we cannot able to process it on 25th or 26th because of the holidays. We have to do some adjustments. So these are the specific dates that you can do the adjustment part. Consider this as a use case. Just please read it in your mind that what I have written it over here. Clear? So what is a use case? What I'm discussing, that there is a SG Pharma holding company that we had defined it, and they want to define a payroll for the set of employees, and these set of employees are the permanent employees, and we are going to pay on the monthly basis. Okay, costing is managed on the monthly basis, and the payroll needs to be get consolidated into the single group name. Okay, and we have to create a payroll definition with a different payroll period and the same consolidation group effective starting from 1st of Jan 2011. We can create in 1st of Jan 2022 as well. Okay, and it is going to be get covered for the 3 years. Clear?
Yes.
Why I have given you this definition, or why I have given you this use case, because this is normally come from your end user. We are having a company, we are paying them on the monthly basis. We do the consolidation at a one point. Our financial entries are going on the monthly basis. So you have to define a payroll so that our employee will get paid on time. That's all. This is the all information you will get it. They will not tell you what is offset date, what is our cutoff date, when you are processing it, when you are releasing your pay slip, when they will when you are transferring it to the bank, when they are receiving their details. Nothing. They will not tell you anything. When you ask, okay, how many payroll, how you process the payroll, so this is the standard answer will come from your end user. Then you know what all information you have to ask them, what you have learned in the previous slide. So those questions will automatically come in your mind. Okay, you will ask, okay, when normally you cut off your period. This is normally we get 20 seconds. So you know what offset I have to put it. Now we have assumed certain things, assuming that there is already a LDG is defined, like we had done in the HR part. Okay, so this is the LDG. We know it, that the legislative data group, we already defined it. This is already exist in the system before we defining the payroll. There is an organization payment, like for how the organization is doing the payment to their employees, whether they are paying through the checks or whether they are paying through the cash or they are through the bank transfer. Okay. And then there is a consolidation group is already created. So these are the 3 prerequisites. I will discuss this organization payment method and the consolidation group in the further classes, but assume that this is already created and defined in the system. So when we are defining the payroll, we have to put a name, we have to put a reporting name, consolidation default, whatever available, we will use it. And then the first period and date. See, notice this, first period and date. Okay, so we will define it, and then what will be default payment method and the valid payment method. Here what I defined a cutoff date. So assuming like my first period and date, I think there is some mistake in the previous slide. Yeah. So what is my first cutoff period is 31st of July. Okay. So what will be my cutoff date? What I'm saying, cutoff date is day before my period ended, and my period ended is 31st of July. So 31st minus 5, how much? 20? Simple mathematics.
26.
So my cutoff date will be 26th of for that particular month. Now move to the month of September. My period end date will be in the month of September. It will be 30th of
30th.
September, correct?
Yes.
So what will be my cutoff date?
25th.
30 minus 5.
25th. 25.
25. So my cutoff date for the month of September will be 25. Clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Similarly, what will be my plan submission date? Period end date
20.
minus 4.
4.
So
27.
for the month of July, how much?
27.
31 minus 4.
27.
27. And for the month of September, it will be
26.
28.
6.
This is 26.
Payroll end date. Payroll end date. Same as my
26.
End date.
payroll end date. I am not minusing anything. I am saying 0.
0.
So here,
Yeah.
Sumesh, false value means we need to minus that date, right? False means that.
Yes. Yes. So here we have a date type. It means from the payroll day end, you have to before. So it means we are minusing it. There is one more value after. We will see it that also. But in this scenario, what we are doing it, that when we are defining our date type value before and after, it with this change. So if it is before my base date value or my period end date, it will be get minus. So here in this scenario, payroll end date is 31 minus 0, which will be 31. Pay slip available be same date 31, and date on is same date 31.
31.
Date paid is also same date 31.
31.
So now, but
Correct.
you said the payslip availability date will always be 2 days ahead of the payroll, right?
I can do it. I can do it. But in this example, I just for the concept wise clearing, I am giving you that this is how we can define it. I can change this date. I can change this date. I can put it 3 over here, and I can put it like the plus or maybe -1 also over here. So after 1 day, I can available it. So this is up to me how I want to do the setup. So let's see directly in the system. Then it will be more clear to all of you. So we will go to the 60 is available today. Payroll definition. Okay, so let me define a payroll. So what I will do, I will click on the plus sign. Let me use for this particular legislation. Effective start date, I am keeping it say from so this effective start date is if I want to load the historical data. Okay, so this is required. If I want to load the historical data, then what should be my effective as of date? So normally we keep it, we don't load the data effective. So we keep it as a 1st of Jan 2022. Continue. give the name. So SG Pharma Holding Company or SG Pharma monthly payroll. Okay, this is making more sense. Then I can keep the same name, reporting name and the name. We will learn this report or difference between the name and the reporting name in our future classes when we're discussing the element entries. There it will make some more sense. So I mentioned it, this consolidation group, assuming it's already created. So we will select the default one which is available. So let's use the UAE consolidation group. And the payroll period type is my bi-weekly or monthly. So this is what my monthly. So I will select a monthly calendar. Ledger, we will keep it blank as at this point of time. We will not use any ledger, but when we create a ledger in future with the costing information, we will use it. Allow negative payments. Now this is something, if we are allowing payroll to be get process a negative figures, then yes, we can do the uncheck this particular box. Otherwise it is not required. So what will happen? So for example, if any employee's salary is coming in the negative, if I did not check this, it will go into the error. Okay, but if I check this and allow negative, it will not go into the error. Then we have to find out case by case basis that who all employees are having a negative salary. So normally the practice is that we don't allow a negative payment, otherwise it will become a headache for the payroll administrator. Now, first period and date. Okay, so what I will select in this particular month, let's say I want to start my payroll in the month of June and ending on 30th of June. So this is my period and date. What is my default payment method? I have to select it either cash or a check. So I will select as a check payment over here. Okay, this is clear. These fields are clear to all of you?
Yes.
Okay, let's go to the next. Now, number of years. For how many number of, yeah, so let's see, let's give it to 5. Okay. And then it is having a concept fixed date or a dynamic. So let me select a dynamic for now, and then we can create some other dates where we are selecting as a fixed date as well. Plan submission date. So here we are having a data type calendar and then offset value before and after as or on. So when I say before, it means that I am minusing the value from my period end date. If I have selected the period start date, and then I can use the after also. Okay.
Yeah.
So from the period end date, I will say, let me have a 5 days over here. Cutoff date, I want to start my cutoff date somewhere 7 days of my payroll end date. So what I'm doing it, that for the particular month, 31 minus 7. So that will be my payroll cutoff date. Okay. Payroll run date, I will come payroll availability as a later stage. Payroll run date will be always, I want to process 3 days, and the date earned, I will keep it as it. Pay slip availability, keep it 0. It means that by end of the month, employee will have the visibility of their payroll. Any question on this part? Because this is very important when you're defining a payroll.
So, I mean, from what I've gathered, so the period end date is sort of like what drives everything. So from there, you're creating all the different anomalies for your cutoff dates and anomalies like -5 days, -7 days, but it's all based from that period end date. That's what drives the whole thing.
That's correct. That's perfectly correct. Perfectly understandable.
So that's very important, the period end date.
Yeah. So this because my first period end date is 30th of that particular month, and this is my monthly payroll. It means that it will be my next period end date will be July 31st, August 31st, September 30th, October 31st, November 30th, December 31st, and so on.
But for December, can you, because of Christmas, Can you make it shorter? You don't take it to 31st.
I will show you. I will show you how you can make it shorter. But as of now, because we don't know, Christmas is a fixed, but there are different region, location, like Eid is there, which is not fixed. It can be start of the month someday, it can be end of the month someday. Similarly, like in India, there are the festival in the start of the month and end of the month. So we can't fix at this point of time. But yes, option is available. But there is no particular month exception at this point of time. Okay, but we can do, I will show you how you can make an exception for the month of December or any month. Click on the next. So what will happen, like when I click on the next, my payroll period got generated.
Wow, for the 12 months.
Clear?
Okay.
So this is my start date, 1st of June, end date, 30th of June. The cutoff date is
20 to 22nd.
23rd of June. 23rd of June.
23rd.
Yeah. Date earned is 30th of June, and my payroll end date is on 27th of June. Date paid is same date, and the plan submission date is 25th of June. So if I'm running it for the month of July, start date is first day of that particular month, and date will be the last day of that particular month. Cutoff date is, we know it, what is my cutoff date, and then so on and so forth. Now for that particular month, we can go and we can change this value manually.
Excuse me, sir. I need to take leave today. Please don't mind. I'll join tomorrow again. I have to drop my daughter for class.
Yeah, no issues, no issues. We are almost done. This is the concept that we want to have an understanding of it. So this is how my period is got generated. Bye. This is how my period is got generated, and then so this is cost account. Keep it as of now as a what is available come as a default. So when we learn about the financial entries and the costing part, we will discuss more about it. So you just review it, how many periods and have everything is generated, and then you can finally submit your payroll creation. Okay, so we will go and see. Clear? And then time period is also there. So we can change this date for the particular month. So here we can come and say that my cutoff date should be, say, I want to process before the Christmas, 15th. Date and will remain as is. Payroll end date, I want to keep it maybe somewhere around 21st. And date paid and everything will remain as is. This I will change it somewhere around 16 or 17, whatever the date you want to like it. So this is how you can do the changes for an exceptional month. Clear? Is this clear to all of you?
This, the changes what we have done for December month, will they be applied for all 5 years, or how is it?
No, only for this month, only for this period, 12/2022.
Only for this particular
So
year.
if I want to do the changes for the next year, I have to come again.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Interesting.
Now, one important lesson. Okay. Now these dates, what you are seeing it over here, these are for my reporting purpose in the system. It does not trigger anything for your payroll administrator that, okay, your payroll cutoff date is this, you can't do the entry. It will not allow system to cut off that entry point of view. So it is not having any value added, but when we are generating our reports and doing the consolidation, these dates are become very important. So don't assume if I'm defining the cutoff date on this particular date, system will not allow, after this date, system will not allow to do any entry, it will allow. Okay.
But
if it is not clear, we will discuss it again tomorrow. Yeah.
It will allow, but it will not be calculated for that month, right?
No, it is calculated for that month also. These dates are for the information purpose and for reporting purpose.
Okay.
Thank you. I think just me. I think this one, you need to at least maybe go through it again with us. It is very, very, this is a very important. And there's one more that I noticed when I was going through the course outline, the videos, the enterprise. Most of us, I don't know about people, but me, there was a bit of confusion between enterprise, division, business unit. I tell you, there is still no clarity because I'm now enterprise. I know what it is. So if you have time at a time, maybe a day of the week, we just want to use it to catch up on one of the lessons that we don't. Maybe you tell us, what have you watched, the video you've watched?
Okay, let's do one thing. Yeah, let's do one thing, not only for you, but whoever are having any doubt, let's keep a session on Friday. I will not going to take any new lecture on Friday. Whatever doubts you are having it in from your past learning, let's discuss on Friday.
That would be nice. Thank you very much. Okay? Yes.
So it is an opportunity for all of you. If you had gone through your notes, if you are not, let's discuss all your past learning, because now you know you are more into the Oracle system and configuration and implementation. Okay, so now more question will come. So let's keep this Friday session. I will not take any class. It will be just purely a discussion and a clearing a doubt. Okay.
Okay, that'll be good. Thank you.
Okay, then I will stop the class. I think today we have taken the longest class.
Yeah, you've done well. Thank you for your time today.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I hope that you all have understood the things from the payroll, and it is very important, like a subject, and very exciting one. This is just nothing. In future, you will find so many things that you